think sometimes when we look at blessings, we look at the positive side, the side that looks nice. We look at the reward, but we don't necessarily look at the struggle, the suffering, the discipline, the isolation that's going to be on the other side of the reward.
3, 2, 1, and...
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Deliberate. My name is Dennis Ngango, and if it's your first time here, this is my safe space on the internet. Today's video is a life update. I'll be sharing with you where exactly I have been for the last couple of weeks. I even came dressed in my Sunday best, so you know I mean business. If you enjoyed this video, please do make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're happy to see me, you want to share any words of encouragement, please do comment below. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe. I don't know how to start this conversation, but I think a good place to start is to say that I wish I was coming back to the channel with the same understanding as a lot of other content creators, that they haven't been around because they've been creating adverts or they've been working on too many campaigns. And you know, like YouTube is like my side hustle, and you know, Instagram and TikTok are taking all of my time. I wish that could be the narrative I could be sharing with everyone, but it really hasn't been the case on my side. I think the last few months have been really hard on me, and instead of creating more work and pushing myself even harder, I actually took a step back, and it was one of the hardest pills I had to swallow. The best way for me to explain this experience to you is actually through the word. In Matthew 14, we see the incredible miracle that Jesus does in terms of feeding the 5,000 people with the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Directly after that incredible miracle, Jesus, as he usually does, he goes to the mountain to pray in isolation. He does a really great thing, and in that time he tells the disciples to get in the boat and go to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. As they are going into the sea, trying to get to the other side, they experience something that they think is a ghost. So then we see in the word by Matthew 14 verse 24, and in the 4th watch of the night, this is usually around 3 to 6 a.m., Jesus came to them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately he spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter replied to him, saying, "Lord, if it is really you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. The reason why I resonate with this story so much is because, as you saw in my first major life update a few months ago, I was talking to you about wanting to change my career in terms of being a full-time filmmaker, and in me declaring that in faith on this platform, that led to me actually taking up opportunities and me trying to actually put myself out there, and for me applying for things, me shooting my shot for different types of opportunities. And I really walked this journey with God because it really felt like something I needed to do. I was like Peter, and I was saying, God, if you're saying, you know, Jesus, if you're really saying this is you, and you're saying we could really take a big leap and move into doing something impossible, you know, tell me it's you and I'm gonna come through. As we get back to the word, we see in verse 30 that Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the effects of the wind, he was frightened, and he began to sink, and he cried out, "Lord, save me." I started seeing the effects of trying to give opportunity and life a bigger chance. I saw the doubt that clouded me when I decided to take a leap, and I don't think I was ready for that. I think sometimes when we look at blessings, we look at the positive side, the side that looks nice, we look at the reward, but we don't necessarily look at the struggle, the suffering, the discipline, the isolation that's going to be on the other side of the reward. And I can tell you, similar to Peter, I found myself in a place where I was frightened, but I still chose to believe. But after some time, when I did put myself out there, as much as I was giving God my all and I was doing the work, the rejection came. And the first rejection was one thing, the second rejection was another thing, and it just felt like I was believing in God for this miracle. I was believing with Christ that we would be walking together on this water. I could see that he was right there, but somewhere in the midst, similar to Peter, I got distracted by the things that were happening around, and I fell into the water. And unlike Peter, where he immediately screamed out, "Lord, save me," I didn't. I fell into the water head first, and I allowed myself to stay there. I allowed myself to live in this dark place, because how could Jesus let me fall into the water when he knew I was already scared of walking on this in the first place? And the fact that as I was falling, I continued to fall. And for a long time, I blamed God for that, and I became very upset because we were on this journey together. You know, I called, you answered, you said, "Come," I said, "Go." We were walking. And for that not to really show in my life, and for me to not be in the boat with everyone, but to be experiencing this thing in isolation with Christ, came with so much shame, so much guilt, because how do I go back to the boat being wet when I could have just stayed with everyone else? I could have just stayed calm. I could have just been uploading Defining Love episodes, and I could have just done what everyone else would do, and maybe then I would be elevated to where I thought I would be. But instead, I'm coming back having sunk and having drowned. And a lot of that is my fault, in the sense that I didn't really give God a chance to intercede. I didn't really give myself even the chance to say, "Lord, save me," as Peter did. I just allowed myself to sink because it was the first time I was around this type of water. So even trying to think in my head, how will I be able to get up? How will I be able to move? It already seemed like a defeat for me. And because of that, I shut out God. God didn't shut me out. We see in the rest of the chapter, Peter cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus extended his hand and caught him, saying to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. Then those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." I didn't reach out, as I said. I didn't say, "Lord, save me." I just allowed myself to struggle. And when you allow yourself to struggle, you also allow yourself to build ego and self-doubt. And those things were taking even more time for me to reach out to God. But God was there. And just like with Peter, the Lord recognizes my little faith. I personally may not feel like it's the big faith that you see in the movies and you see in people sharing their testimonies online. I may not feel it is that way personally, but God does recognize your little faith. And in the distance between the boat and Jesus, we have Peter here who fell in the water. And as much as there were all these hardships and there's these doubts that Peter may have felt and I have felt throughout this journey, at the same time, if you think about it like this, the disciples here, Peter here, Jesus here, who of the two between the disciples and Peter is closer to Jesus? Definitely Peter, the one who tried. And I'm learning in this season that little faith is always bigger, always better, always smarter than no faith. As much as I feel like I feel all this shame, I'm always reminded that, I'm not stuck where I started. I'm stuck where I stopped. And those are two different things. And now where I stopped, God and I and those who journey with me and who I journey with are gonna continue moving from there. I'm not going all the way to the beginning. So I really am excited to see what that will look like, what that will materialize in life. But right now we are trying, and that's why we're back. We're trying to be deliberate in our faith, trying to be deliberate in life, trying to show up in the best ways that we can. And that will be my best effort, whatever it amounts to God's glory. But right now we're gonna try. So if you relate to this message in any way, please feel free to drop a comment. I'd love to hear how life has been on your side since we last connected. I'll be getting back to the deliberate adulting series. There's definitely some collaborations that you've seen, that you know have been shot, so those will be released, directly after this. But I first wanted to give you guys an update to say this is how life has been, and this is how life, or from this position, this is how life is going to get better. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Like I said, please do comment. And yeah, if you enjoyed this platform and you want to become a part of the family here, please make sure to subscribe. Bye.